Hello, this presentation is to explain some of the ways that you can manage your applications on Autodesk Exchange in order to profit from a very significant growth of the Autodesk Exchange App Store. My name is Stephen Preston. I'm a Senior Manager for the Developer Technical Services Worldwide team, which is part of the Autodesk Developer Network. And we're the team who manage all of the apps on Autodesk Exchange. So we're the team who review your apps and who then publish them and help you if you have any problems during the publishing process. The purpose of the Autodesk Exchange App Store, or the goal of the App Store, is really to work toward a best-in-class user experience for our customers. So if you take the iPhone App Store experience, which is an extremely polished and coherent experience, everything just works. That's the kind of thing we're looking for Autodesk Exchange. So when you're publishing an app on the store, we want that when the customer download your app, that they find that it's quick to install, easy to learn, quick to use, just a delightful experience for the user. On the Exchange Store, you can create free apps, you can create trial apps, or you can charge a fee for them. And the purpose of the store for you is it's not just about selling your products. An important aspect is to actually make direct revenue from the store. But possibly more important than that for most of our current publishers is it's actually an avenue to find new customers, to develop relationships with those customers, and to generate additional supplementary revenue because of that. And we'll talk through a few examples of where people have done this later in the presentation. So different types of apps and the reasons you may put them on the store. The free app doesn't seem particularly intuitive that you can actually make money by publishing a free app, but this is a great way to find and engage new customers. We really encourage you to, even if you have paid apps on the store or trial apps on the store, put something free on the store that a customer can download and try. They'll find it provides useful functionality in a similar domain to your paid apps or your consulting services or whatever. And by using your free app, they realize then that you offer a quality product. You then have their contact details. You can contact them to find out if they need anything more, or they may contact you to ask some questions, and that leads to a conversation where you can actually lead them to your more expensive product. In some ways, a trial is similar. You're trying to engage new customers, and in this situation, this is where perhaps your application, you charge a significant fee for it, but you want to give people a chance to try it out without any pressure, so they can then contact you either for a full sales discussion or just to go back to the Exchange Store and buy it. And then, of course, we have the fee applications. And there's really three cost models here. You may have a low cost model. A lot of apps in the store at the time of making this recording are relatively low cost, $5, $10, $20. And some of that is about making direct profit if you're trying to sell significant numbers of a low cost app. But some of those, of course, again, maybe lead us into a larger priced engagement, such as a consulting engagement, or to sell one of your larger products. We have a few medium cost applications, few block libraries out there in the $100 range, and of course we have the high cost model. When I talk high cost, I'm talking $1,000 plus, and really that particular model at the moment on the Exchange Store is untested. We do hope that this will become a compelling model for customers to go and buy expensive applications on the store. But right now, if you're trying to sell something more expensive on the store, you're at the very least going to have to lead with a free or trial first to get people's interest. And it's really an unproven business model whether we can actually get customers to just go in and buy $1,000 plus applications without first talking to your sales team. So there's a big growth opportunity here for you on the Autodesk Exchange App Store. We're growing the store all the time. We're increasing the number of stores, the number of products represented on the store. There's an increasing number of Autodesk customers who are visiting, downloading, and interacting with the store. There's an increasing amount of people buying applications on the store. The number of people who buy applications compared to trying out the free applications is still relatively small, but it is growing. And we just have an increasing volume of apps. And of course, more recently, we're introducing things like localized app support. So you can now publish your app in up to 14 different languages, and we have multi-OS support where you can have Windows 32, Windows 64, Mac OS, and soon Linux for the products which support those platforms. But we're still relatively at the early stage. The store is big now, but we expect it to get a lot bigger. And so you still have this opportunity to be in pole position, to take advantage of this growth, to be one of the first people in your particular domain of expertise to have a presence on the store. And here's some examples of the kind of volume we're seeing. This is the number of unique visitors we're getting per quarter at the moment. You can see that we're already surpassed the 1 million visitors a year mark, and we're very quickly moving towards the 2 million visitors a year mark. That's a lot of customers. The number of downloads, obviously a lot of people visit and don't download anything, but a lot of them do. We've already passed the 250,000 downloads a year. We're well on track, moving towards the 500,000 downloads a year. Won't be long at all before we reach the 1 million download a year mark. And this is definitely a non-linear progression. We're increasing the number of stores, we're increasing the number of languages available, we're increasing the number of apps. So this is not just a linear effect, it's a multiplicative effect rather than an additive effect. Paid downloads, they are lagging, but they are increasing. Again, we can see that we've already surpassed 1,000 downloads a year, and we expect that to increase as we introduce new features such as purchase orders, bulk purchasing, other methods of payment than PayPal basically. And of course subscriptions as well, which we hope will be coming soon on the Exchange store. And of course the number of apps is increasing as well. At the moment we're probably at around the 600 or 700 mark. We fully anticipate by the end of the year that we will surpass 1,000 applications for sale on the Autodesk Exchange store. So all of these things, the number of stores as well increasing, we're adding new stores all the time. All of these things are contributing to create this non-linear growth in the store, this big expansion in the importance of the store. And I would say that already Autodesk Exchange is the number one way that people are finding add-ins and third-party apps for their Autodesk products. And it's not just about English. So this slide here we're showing, this isn't the place that people are logging in from, this is the language selection they make when they come to the store. So obviously English dominates, but Spanish, German, Chinese, Portuguese and Russian languages are all pretty high. And 4% doesn't sound a lot, but 4% of 2 million visitors is a lot of visitors. So how do you make your application successful? What do you need to do, not just to be on the store, but actually to be successful on the store? And you should really think of success as not just direct sales through the store. If you go on there and you put a single app on the store for $500 and expect to become a millionaire overnight, or actually if you put a $5 app on the store and expect to be one of these, like you hear these occasional Apple Store success stories where some kids put a $5 app on and has suddenly become a millionaire. That's probably not going to happen to you. You need to work at this, and this is it's not just about sales. Sales are important, but this is about making relationships with the customers, managing those relationships, making friends with the people who are buying your app, using that to sell on additional services, additional applications, custom programming. It's about making the customers happy to work with you. And one big advantage of the Exchange store is if your application looks good, if it works well, if it's obviously of a high quality, when someone asks for support you're responsive and helpful and quickly help them. That customer then doesn't care whether you're one guy working out of his garage or if you're a multinational company with thousands of employees. All they care is they've got an application that works and that they can see that you care about helping them. So really think of the store as more than just the direct sales. It's not about someone buys your app and you're done. It's about making ongoing relationships with your customers. So here's some examples of some of the successes we've had. A company called Kiwi Codes, they're actually one of our number one publishers on the store now. They're based in New Zealand, and historically they've really struggled to expand beyond Australia and New Zealand. So they were very quick to adopt the Revit store when it was first launched, and they released 4 Revit applications. They're now one of our top downloaded publishers, and they have created some major global customers through their presence on the store. They increased their credibility by being on the store, and they've now made some volume sales agreements with strategic partners like HOK. And we see here a quote on the side here about how happy the HOK are with the Kiwi Codes application. And so this is something Kiwi Codes have been trying to do for years, and they finally managed it because they use the Autodesk Exchange Store. CTC, another example, they're based in the US. This is another Revit example as it happens. They're based in the US. Again, they're one of the early adopters of the store. And a major AEC company found their application, which is free, in the store. And after using the app for a while, they thought, if only it could do these few extra things. So they contacted the publisher, CCTC, and said, do you have anything that can help us with these other problems? And that free app led to a $78,000 sales consulting arrangement. So just by publishing a free app, it really helped to accelerate this. And of course, that $78,000 consulting engagement with a major firm has then become a reference account that CTC can use to encourage other consulting work as well. Another example, Prismatech, an Italian company, they have apps in the AutoCAD store, the Inventor store, and the Vault store. And in their case, they sold a $5 app. They were contacted by a company who wanted to make a bulk purchase. Actually, at the time, the Exchange store didn't support bulk purchasing, so they actually had to make a private arrangement for the sale. But that led to a 120 seat purchase of the application and a follow-on consulting engagement as well. So that's led, those are 3 examples of customers who early adoption in the store has led to very significant revenue opportunities for them, but not just through sales of the application, through them working through the customer relationships and impressing the customer with their expertise and their quality and their dedication to the service. And here's some just simple quotes we've got on this slide, just showing some of the things that people are saying about some of the apps on the store. And the whole point of the Autodesk Exchange Store really is about customers going there to look for immediate solutions to their problems. They'll go on the store, they'll browse around for something that will solve a problem that they have now, and they want to download and use the application now, and they want to be successful, and they just want to solve problems. So that's a little bit about how you can take advantage of some of the customer relationships you generate from the store. But let's now look at a few tips and tricks for how you can get yourself noticed on Exchange compared to all those other people who are trying to do the same thing. And really the bottom line is you need to think like your customer. I know as a programmer myself that I love all the stuff that I write for myself. My applications are better than anybody else's applications. Goes without saying, and that's the same for all of us. But of course the problem is we know how to use our application. We know all its quirks and limitations, what it's good at, what it's bad at, because we wrote it. But because we wrote it, we don't always think about how a customer might view our application when they've seen it for the first time. So when you're posting your app on the store, make sure that you think about how a customer might think having seen this for the first time. They don't know you, they don't know your application. So how can you show them that your application is good value and good quality? And this comes back to this idea of providing free applications. Give them something for free that they can download and see, yeah, this has got a good user interface, it doesn't crash, it does something useful. When I ask for support, the guy helps me really quickly. Give them a trial, same thing, let them test something first. And when they come to buy, don't just put paid apps on the store. Make sure that you have a mix of price ranges, always have something free or trial that they can use. You should also try and use the infrastructure that we provide to help you. You want to fit into the standard Autodesk look and feel for the Exchange store. So go to autodesk.com/develop-apps and you'll find some guidelines there for the general store guidelines. For most of the products on the store, we have some kind of simple loader mechanism for Revit and Inventor and AutoCAD and various other products as well, which generically refer to as the bundle format, is sometimes also known as the autoloader format. And we encourage you to make use of this. And in fact, if you submit an app which doesn't use the easy loading mechanism for that particular product, we're going to ask you why you aren't using it. And if you don't have a good reason for not using if we don't have a good reason for not using it, we will ask you to go away and refactor your application so it can be used. It helps you and it helps your customers, because for you, you don't have to worry about building the installer. If you use this standard bundle format, we will actually create the installer for you, which saves you a lot of time. And from a customer's perspective, we want that basically every app in the store installs in the same way, the help file is in the same format, they know it installs in the same place. It just works the same as they expect. If you downloaded one app on Exchange, you know how they all work. That's the idea. And of course, the other thing that's important is make sure you keep current. Don't wait for your customers to ask about the latest release. If you've got a 2013 version of your application, make sure that you've updated it to 2014 straight away. If you've got a 2014 application, well, when a new release comes out after this, make sure that you've updated your application quickly to support the latest version, so you don't get bad feedback from customers who find that suddenly they can't upgrade for this application they've come to rely on. So now here's some specific examples of things you can do to get noticed on the store. The first one is the icon. Your icon is the first thing the customer will probably notice when they're searching for apps on the store. And the quality of the icon does matter a lot. There's a big difference between a customer who sees a well-designed icon and a poorly designed icon. Again, this is the first thing they've seen of your application, and just taking a little bit of time to have a professionally designed icon just makes your application look professional. Here's some examples of some good icons. First one is for an application called Increment, and you can kind of tell that it's something to do with an incrementing just from the icon. It's simple, it's fairly bold. The icon shows what the application actually does. The second example is for a reinforced concrete application, and again, the icon shows what the application does. It actually shows the reinforcement for some concrete. Third application is a 3D viewing application. Again, it's kind of obvious. It says 3D and it's got a pair of these 3D glasses, which everybody knows what they are. It's also got this nice little banner which shows the company name as well. So again, we have this concept of the application icon is related to what the application actually does. And they're big, they're bold, they use all the space available that the icon provides. Here's another example. Developer theme. This is Kiwi Codes again. They have very bold icons with a common theming. So once you've used one application from that company, you can immediately recognize other applications from the same company. You've used the one application, you were impressed with it, you found it was good. You're going to notice these and you're going to try them out just because you were happy with the first application you had. So develop a theme across all of your applications. Here are some examples which are not quite so good. We do actually have icon guidelines on the Exchange Apps Developer Center, which I showed you the URL for before. So first thing is, do avoid box shots. This application icon here is blown up, so it looks quite big. But imagine when this is displayed as an 80 by 80 icon. Unfortunately, that box shot is just not going to it's not going to be obvious what it is at all. You're not going to be able to read any of that writing. You're not going to be able to see the image. And if you're having to squint to see what the application icon means, then it's probably not the right icon to have. Here's another example here. These two other icons actually, in and of themselves, they're not too bad. It's just they have a huge amount of white space. I'm not sure if it shows on the recording, but if I just move my mouse around here and show the actual extent of that box, it's very large compared to the actual application. And actually in these cases, all the application publisher had to do to have a good icon is just to make the image bigger and have less white space. And this isn't just about customer perception. This is actually about your product placement in the store. First of all, if you have a really bad icon, we'll actually ask you to replace it before we publish the app. But if you just have an average or not particularly, just about acceptable but not particularly good application, we're still not going to ever feature your application as a featured app if it has a bad icon, no matter how good the actual application is. Then we move on to the app description. The icon is one thing, but the app description says a lot. And I've got two examples on the screen here. One is of a good app description and one is of a not so good app description. So do put some thought into, again, this is the customer's first sight of your application. He needs to know what he's actually letting himself in for if he downloads or buys this application. So tell him why he should be using your application. What are the benefits of using the app? What are the key features? How is the description presented? Are you using appropriate formatting, things like bulleted lists? Do include URLs to more information. So it might be, look at this video on YouTube or visit my website for finding out more information. If you have trial and paid applications of the same application, if you have different versions, then link the two together, or link this application with other similar applications you've written which interoperate well together. And do always think about creating a good video tutorial for your application as well if there's any complexity to your app. So we see the top example of the description it's a pretty good one. It's got all the information you need. It's got a bulleted list. It's got these links to the website and to tutorials. The bottom application, it's one sentence. Now, if I as a publisher can only say one sentence about my application, if I see that as a customer, it kind of gives the impression that the publisher doesn't really care about selling the application. And do I even know enough to take the risk of downloading it? Possibly not. Certainly if there are two applications which appear to meet my needs, I'm probably going to go for the one which tells me the most about the application in the description, and of course the one which has the nicest looking screenshots and just looks more professional. And here's an example again of screenshots. You can use up to 6 screenshots. So make sure you do use them and make sure that they're compelling screenshots that you use. Again, use the space provided. Make sure you have good descriptions of what the screenshots do. Again, the top example, someone's taken the time to have 3 screenshots. They've cropped the images so they display fairly well. Whereas at the bottom one, the screenshot doesn't really tell you very much about your application and is only one of them. They're not taking advantage of what is actually available on the store. And customers do look at the screenshots before they download the application. And of course, once someone has downloaded your application, make sure that you follow up with them. When you go to your My Upload section, your publisher dashboard if you like, there next to your published application there is a downloads box, which is a number, and if you click on that number it will give you a CSV file which gives you contact details for all of the people who've downloaded your application. So do appropriately follow up with those people. Now don't spam them, don't send them an email every day advertising something else, but follow up politely in a professional way. Find out, do you need any more help? Would you like to rate my application? Do you have any feedback for me, ways that I can improve my application to help you more? And check the information provided. We're actually, at the time I'm making this recording, very close to extending the customer information we provide, so we can tell you the country the customer's from, we can tell you more than just the email address which is available at the moment, we can tell you the company name. And from that you can cherry pick the customers who you think they're in a country that's appropriate to you. You can tell from their company name that it's a company that you want to do business with. So go through that list and focus on the people that for example, of a larger accounts that you may want to engage with, and follow up accordingly. And finally, let's just have a quick look at some of the enhancements. Now obviously this recording is going to be posted on our YouTube channel, so by the time you read these, some of these enhancements may have already come, and in fact there may be a lot more enhancements beside. So a recent enhancement which actually is already live is the multi-language facility. Once you've posted an application once, you can go back and edit that application and add different language versions. And it may be it could be that you have one installer that supports multiple languages, or you need a different installer for each language version of your app. But regardless of that, you also need to have localized descriptions for your applications, basically all of the text that explains your application, you can publish in all of those 14 different languages. And when you go, someone selects a particular language store to look at, if you have a localized version of your app for that store, it will be towards the top of the list. The English versions are always displayed as well, but the localized versions, the French applications are at the top of the list in the French store, and the Polish applications are at the top of the list in the Polish store. And by localizing your product, of course, this does give you the opportunity to expand your market globally to markets you've maybe not engaged with before. But obviously, before you do publish your application with a localized description, do make sure that you're capable of actually supporting your application in that language. Some other things coming soon as well. We're looking at bulk purchasing. We're looking at purchase orders. We're looking at the ability to provide web services, including some subscription applications. That will be subscriptions to web services, but also subscriptions to web-based services as well. And so that gets us to the end of the presentation now. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you want any more information, do go to our Exchange Apps Developer Center, which is autodesk.com/develop apps, all one word. Of course, you can go to the Autodesk Exchange App Store, apps.exchange.autodesk.com. And if you have any questions at all, you're very, very welcome to email the appsinfo email alias. That is appsinfo@autodesk.com. So again, thank you very much for listening. My name is Stephen Preston. I'm signing off now. Thank you and goodbye.